I'm using a wireless system, and if you don't know, there's a certain law change that's coming up. We've got Tuomo here from Shure Distribution.
That's right.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
I would love you to tell me about what's happening regarding the wireless spectrum. As I'm a channel 69 user, as a lot of people are.
Sure.
Things are changing at the end of the year.
Absolutely.
Could you give us a little insight into what's happening, and what's the big deal to us?
Well, there's a lot that's happening, and I think to try and really narrow it down, we've just reached the end of the analog to digital television switchover, and the government process, which is called the Digital Dividend Review, deals with what happens to the spectrum once it's no longer being used. So the concept is analog television was shut off, nobody's using the spectrum. Of course, that couldn't be further from the truth. Radio mics or PMSE, program making and special events equipment, has used the spectrum for a very, very long time. Channel 69 naturally falls into this same block of spectrum, and it's been interesting recently. The whole 4G discussions now finally appeared into the news. So we've always known that the spectrum would be reallocated towards mobile broadband, and now we're really starting to see it happening. And it's quite simple. Why does it affect radio mic users? Well, the spectrum we typically operate in, and you rightly mentioned Channel 69, is going away. We can use it until December 31st this year. After that, we need to vacate these bands.
So, come December the 31st, assuming that people have got Channel 69 kit and they're still using it, what's going to happen to them? Is it literally just physically not going to work? Is it?
Well, no, I mean, it's not magically that the power switch isn't going to work, but you can certainly expect significantly increased levels of interference because you're going to have these 4G signals nationwide. But probably more importantly, besides the interference, it will be illegal to utilize that spectrum. We no longer are permitted to use short-range devices such as radio mics in Channel 69, or for that matter, 792, 862. So we have to move. It will be illegal to use that part of spectrum.
So Channel 38 is what we need to move to.
Yeah, it's an option.
It's an option. While we're talking about options, what are the options to people who need to move?
It really depends on what sort of work you do and how many channels of wireless you're using. Channel 38 is the official government replacement for Channel 69. So the beauty of Channel 69 was, if you were a roaming user and an ENG news crew, for example, you could have a single Channel 69 license run up to, probably kind of depending on how efficient your product was, but probably around 8 channels of wireless, utilize it anywhere across the UK at any time. And this TV channel 69 was dedicated for radio mic use. So Channel 38 replicates this down in the 600 megahertz band. So if you are that type of user in ENG news crew, Channel 38 is probably the right choice for you. But it really comes down to, like I said, what you do. If it's a larger production, a major televised event, or you look at what happened over the summer, the Olympics, something like that, you can't fit that amount of radio mics into a single 8 megahertz band, so you need more contiguous and interference-free spectrum.
Gotcha. So if you've got a Channel 69 piece of kit at the moment, hopefully you were licensed, and there was,
I would hope so.
At one point there was a government buyback scheme, which I believe has ended now, hasn't it?
Yeah, there was a government sort of compensation package that was administered by a company called Equinity. That was towards the back end of last year, but the claiming period for that is since shut down.
So
already.
If you've still got that, the only options are Channel 70 for the moment, but is there not?
Sure. Channel 70, or to be more precise, 863 to 865 megahertz, is what's called European deregulated spectrum. It's 2 megahertz wide. It sits at the beginning of TV channel 70, and the definition itself in terms of deregulated, depicts exactly what it is. There is no regulation of this use of spectrum, so it isn't just radio mics. This is things like baby monitors, consumer earphones, and the like. So the use of that, even before what's going on, was congested. It'll only become even more congested. But we also have to look at what the neighbors for this 863 to 865, and that's going to be 4G. So we've already seen statements made by the government, and it's been publicly available, that 4G could even affect digital television services. So what's going to happen to the poor little radio mic, transmitting at 10 mil, sitting right next to these high power mobile stations? I don't think it's going to be a particularly bright future for 860 to 865, but nonetheless, it is available.
It is available if they need to. So as far as kit is concerned, does that mean that now if we went to to Shure, Sennheiser, Audio-Technica, somebody like that.
Yeah.
Is it all the kit nowadays channel 38?
Most manufacturers, everything they're selling is channel 38 and some in the other interleave bands, depending on what you use. I mean, what we're using here today, this is all channel 38 kit as well. So by large, everybody's selling channel 38 and the new bands that we are allowed to use henceforth. So.
Brilliant. Tuomo, thank you very much. Let's see, does anybody have any questions about channel 38? Let's just see if they do. You did cover most things, which is great. They don't, which is great. So your role at Shure?
I look after our applications and product planning department, but I'm also on the steering committee for BERG, the British Entertainment Industry Radio Group.
Right.
And this is where a lot of my involvement with Ofcom and MPs and so on comes from. And we're a non-profit organisation. We lobby the government and try and get them aware of how all these changes affect PMSE users around the UK. And I think it's important to remember, while Channel 38 is now available and we can use it, and it seems that, you know, I suppose we've kind of reached an end of, you know, a portion of this, an end of a chapter. Things are by no means over. You know, there's a lot of other stuff happening. The demand for UHF spectrum is only increasing. There's already talk of another digital dividend on a European level. So we've barely ended the first stage, and the mobile operators are already asking for more spectrum. On top of that, there's the white space devices consultation going on. So the demand for UHF spectrum is only going to increase. So I suppose what I'd ask is people get more involved with this. Get on the lists of Ofcom for the updates. The more people that our industry is seen to be aware and concerned about these issues, the better it is going to be for us. So.
Brilliant. And they could find that information out on, is that the Ofcom website?
Sure, it might be a little difficult to find it. But BERG is a good place to go, so that's BEIRG.co.uk. And naturally, a lot of the manufacturers will also have this information on their website.
Brilliant.
So I would urge people to get involved. The more voices we have, you know, the more likely we're going to be heard.
Tuomo, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
You've opened my eyes a bit to what we need to do as far as licensing is concerned. So that was Tuomo from Shure Distributions.